about artistry and movement, but we're coming at it from a different angle. And so we're going to look at movement from a different perspective, and we're going to ask you to engage your artistry from a different perspective.
You can't decolonize without hurting white feelings. You can't decolonize without hurting male feelings. You can't decolonize without hurting other people's feelings. We've been taking care of our feelings for so long now. It's time to take care of ours.
For a few minutes at your tables, I want you to discuss the quote about decolonization and connect it to Faree's quote. Just think through that. What does that, what hits you when you read that, hear that? What are you thinking about? How does it affect your practice? And take 3 minutes to do that. We're going to talk about this in a minute. Before we go there, I want to add another layer to it. Last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I went down to Alabama for the opening of the Legacy Museum from Slavery to Mass Incarceration and the Memorial, the Peace and Justice. So it is one of those experiences. I'm definitely going to go back, and in every presentation I've done since, I've shared this with them because it is important that we go down and see and sit with that, because I think, especially as educators, we forget that this is really what we're up against.
I told my mom I was coming to Montgomery, Alabama, and I was going to go to what I told her was a lynching museum. And she said, why would they want to do that?
Yeah, I think that we have developed a really advanced coping strategy of silence.
So now, after that first conversation, I want you guys to layer it in with this lynching museum, because it has a nice museum name, the Legacy Museum, but I know nobody's going to call it that. It's going to be called the Lynching Museum, right? So let's take another 3 minutes, dig into this, lay it on top of your first conversation.
I think the brother made an excellent point with the first thing that he said. He said we have an advanced mechanisms of being silent. I think that was profound. When he said that, I was like, yeah.
We're not lynched in large numbers now, and we still are, but then it's a mental, it's a social, it's an economic lynching that now we are part of.
Another factor around lynching that doesn't happen, and it happened in my family, my mother's brother was lynched in uniform in South Carolina.
Yes.
And
we need to talk about that, yes.
When word came back to my grandparents, it was that he was killed in combat, right? They didn't even know that he was back here. They thought he was still during World War II. So that was another big issue.
Everybody go down, make the journey to go and experience it. I told you today we're doing an merging of movement and artistry. Now, we have done movement and artistry in all 8 of our sessions. What I want to talk about today is like the movement of our consciousness, right? And keeping the movement in the center of our consciousness. And to do that in the most artistic way that we can.
Black humanity and dignity requires a Black political will and power. In response to the sustained and increasingly visible violence against Black communities in the U.S. and globally, a collective of more than 50 organizations representing thousands of Black people from across the country have come together with renewed energy and purpose to articulate a common vision and agenda.
They have these demands for justice. End the war on Black people. Reparations, invest, divest, economic justice, community control, and political power. So, we're going to break up into 6 groups. We have 6 tables. It's going to work out. You're going to hypothesize about your specific platform demand. What is the stated problem? What's the stated problem? What's an example of that problem? What's an antidote to that problem? Here's the artistry. Not too much talking. Represent your work through a dramatic representation. A tableau, a role play. Anybody want to go first? What does community control mean for our schools?
We would like to welcome you all to the District 10 Community School Board meeting. Can you just tell us where you are located in the district?
I live in Riverdale.
Okay, and I live in Riverdale too. And
5900 Arlington Avenue, Bronx, New York, aka Riverdale.
oh. So that's our first set. So basically basically we're just talking about the fact that in certain districts, you'll have like, so in my district it's like 2 schools in Riverdale and they literally control the whole district.
What educational practices must we invest and divest?
Good morning, boys and girls. Today we're going to be learning about how plants germinate. I'm going to show you a video on plant germination, and you're going to use this sheet to help you collect information about the germination process. So today we are going to create baggies with our Ziplocs and our tissue and our lima bean, and we're going to log every day as our plant germinates in our lab log. All right? Who's excited for germination?
How do we and our students activate or exercise our political power? Freeze.
She's about to get jumped.
Calling 911.
How do we end the war on black students?
So one day in the classroom, there was a really bad teacher. And he
So, going on with the Constitutional Convention, the 3/5 compromise was done to keep the Union together. The North and the South had to make sure that people, the slave masters, wanted to make sure that their slaves were represented so they can get more representatives. You know,
More representative. What are you talking? Why are you teaching this shit?
And then the class was over.
What if I told you that the 3/5 compromise, in fact, said that you and your ancestors weren't human? Well, 3/5. How would you feel about that?
And like that, we found new soldiers for a new war that will help our people.
What does educational reparations look like?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So our focus is to address reparations for people of color, actually African ancestry, and provide equitable access to education.
So what you think about that?
So, I think it takes a lot of thought as we done thoughtfully, as we done the right way. I think.
What you thinking about though? I don't understand. Like,
class, nothing. My teachers didn't know what they were talking about, or I was not reflected in my lesson. So I want to make sure that my students are reflected in the lesson, so they can engage, so they can come up and teach the class. I'm okay. I can sit down. I can be humble. They can teach.
I'm not convinced.
How do we provide access to economic justice in our schools?
Okay, so we talked to the administration and they decided to give us money instead of giving it directly to the 8th grade, or sorry, like your teachers. We're going to get it to decide what to use the money for. So what are some of your ideas?
One, maybe getting a community pantry so that kids can get some of the basic needs that they need.
A lot of my students don't have computer access, so we need laptops that they can actually take home so they can do research.
This all sounds great to me, but it's like, I want to make sure that I don't need the same thing 2 years from now, 5, 10 years from now. So how can we learn to run this ourselves?
We go to the bodega every day and spend a lot of money, so maybe inviting the people at the bodegas where we buy our beginning and cheese every day could be one of our solutions.
Yeah, and they can teach us how their business is being successful, and we can try to implement those things into our school.
Are there other questions around these 6 demands?
All of these issues matter to us in terms of community, building community, education, educational practices, community awareness, community restoration, and economic justice.
My questions are around the educational reparations and how to do that, like how to respond to people who think that that's being like reverse racist.
This lesson is for students in the hood around developing their self-agency. It is in direct conflict with the power system that benefits you. Culturally responsive education is responsive to the children I am teaching. So I think we have to be strategic in how we engage in these conversations. Some of us have more of a ability to deal with nonsense, and so Those who have an ability to deal with nonsense, deal with nonsense. Some of you who are white, you got to deal with nonsense because you got to talk to your homies. I'm not going to talk to them, but I need you to talk to them because you have access. And so you go ahead and be like, reverse racism isn't a thing. How do we use what's already there? And one thing about the Legacy Museum, they have this whole section about the laws, how the laws helped and hurt. But the political power, localized. How do we start to engage our young people and ourselves in a localized way of